Hello everyone, this is Tasuki Flames coming at you, and I'll be doing a video about the Pioneer releases, specifically the Ocean Dub, which coincides with Pioneer, of the VHSs and DVDs that they released at the time. It was also across Cartoon Network in the mid to late 90s, where it would loop the same two sagas over and over. You would have stuff like it would start with the Saiyan arc, then it would go into Namek, then you would get to right around the part to where Vegeta was thinking Goku was a Super Saiyan, and he was fighting Burter and Raccoon, and then bam, it restarts at Arrival. Sometimes I think it would restart and actually do the movies like there were episodes, if I remember correctly. It's been forever. But they would have Tree of Might, Dead Zone, and The World's Strongest, all of them cut up and playing as well. With those were also cut by Pioneer with the Ocean Dub at the time. With me, I originally saw them all on TV, on Cartoon Network, starting with, I think it was around the Vegeta and Goku fight when I originally saw it. And once I actually got into it, I saw that one of the local video stores was actually selling those, because I couldn't get them from the comic store because they were just renting them out constantly. So I went and saw them. I can't remember what the name of it was. It was a local branch that went out of business. It wasn't Blockbuster. It was something else. But they were selling all the VHSs without the actual box that goes around them, to make them a box set, just the individual one. I believe it's the 8 that comes with the Saiyan conflict, and Namek had 9. So I was slowly picking those up one at a time. I can't remember the price. It might have been $10, maybe, probably more, because I remember with like the DVDs, they ended up going for like $30 at the time. They were really expensive back then when those originally came out. But I picked them up, and then I got the rest for Christmas from my mom, because she knew I was wanting them. The thing with the Pioneer sets, they were heavily edited. At the time, I had no idea. I'd only seen the ones online via Cartoon Network, stuff like that. And I'd seen, like most people online, I've seen all the images of like Super Saiyan, Goku and Gohan, Super Saiyan Vegeta, going past that, which is another thing that always threw me off, probably threw off anyone else that was watching them at the time, is in the opening cut of Rock the Dragon, the terrible song they had going on at the beginning of all the episodes at the time, they would show a lot of footage from the movies, just a little bit from the Saiyan conflict, and then towards the end, you would see Trunks flying around, future Trunks, and go Super Saiyan. You'd also see Super Saiyan Vegeta for a second, and then at the end, you would have like a Dragon Ball fly down and hit to where Goku was, and he would turn into a Super Saiyan. Long before anyone ever even knew that was a thing over in the U.S. So when you were watching, you were also like, "What is this? What's going on?" You didn't even know it was a Super Saiyan at the time. So when I was watching this, it was a big deal, and like one of the last DVDs or VHSs that came out in the Namek set for Pioneer was called Super Saiyan ? And had a picture of him as a Super Saiyan on there, which hadn't even happened yet, and also had pictures on there of Goku from the Frieza arc that hadn't happened. So that was a big thing, and you kept having to wait over and over again. Little did you know, it was like halfway into the Frieza arc before that would ever happen. So that was a big thing. But with the Pioneer set, I've recently been rewatching them, and the DVDs themselves, and they're pretty rough. There's a lot of filigree, especially like in the first DVD, Arrival. It's pretty noticeable, but it gets somewhat better as it goes along. I would have to say that I know the orange bricks are crap on left and right, and they deserve it, but they might be a step up slightly from these sets because of how edited these are. They edited out a good double-digit amount of episodes from this arc that originally they ended up being added on later once Funimation got the rights to them. because Pioneer held tight to the rights for the logs until they eventually ran out and would not get rid of them. But obviously they edited out most of the blood, like when was it Piccolo used his special beam cannon onto Raditz and Goku, and it went through them. They edited all of that out, which I know in the manga, or manga should I say, that sounded stupid, but in the manga, it was a lot less gruesome than anime had to begin with. But they edited that out heavily. They ended up getting thrown back in. They also edited a lot of what was said. They edited out like beer turned into just regular water, soda, or anything else that they could. A lot of the lines and personalities were completely changed. Some of them are really goofy. And one line that keeps bugging me is when Vegeta is talking to Goku in the Saiyan conflict, and he is bringing up the ball of energy that he's going to throw up in the air to make it where it's pretending like to be the moon. He says something about that the attack itself was brought by Goku's father. He said that Goku's father was a pretty average fighter, but he was a brilliant scientist and came up with that attack. And I'm thinking, brilliant scientist, Bardock, these two do not go together. So that's one line that really stuck with me after rewatching it. This made me laugh a bit. There's also, like, the voice cast from the Ocean dub isn't too bad, but that's based on me growing up with having that voice cast first. Like, Goku isn't that bad in the Ocean dub. Vegeta was awesome as a bad guy for the time. Recoome I liked better in the Ocean dub because it's more sophisticated and not just brainless. Same with Nappa. I preferred his voice from that as well to the Funimation one. Chi-Chi on the Ocean dub and Funimation are both good. I like both of them. Same with Bulma. Gohan, you can take it or leave it. Krillin was awesome for the time, but both of them are awesome. The one that has the biggest issue would have to be Frieza. Frieza from the Ocean dub Pioneer releases was awful. It was hard to be intimidated by that. Even the Funimation version, the original one, wasn't that good. Now, the Kai version of Frieza sounds awesome. It sounds pretty close to, or as close as you're going to get to the Japanese version, was pretty awesome. And back in the day, the only experience I actually had with the Japanese version was one of my friends from school at the time had a pretty rough tape of, BoJack Unbound subtitles, so I was able to see that, and I really appreciated that, especially the music that plays towards the end when Gohan is about to go Super Saiyan 2 against BoJack. I really like that music. It's the same music that plays when Majin Vegeta is about to blow himself up. It's way better than the English dubs versions of that, and really it's touching. But also in the Pioneer dub, they get rid of most of the blood or anything like that. You just have like random bruises and stuff on that with no blood. Though sometimes they'll have a little, but for the most part, it's all out, and complete sequences are cut out of that in episodes, but they still leave in some of the filler. But it's, for the most part, it's not really the good filler. It's the filler that you want to skip, like, well, the Arlia stuff is pretty good. I thought that wasn't too bad, but, like, Bulma going down to get Dragon Ball with those two Frieza henchmen and stuff's kind of boring, and her deal with the crab, and different stuff like that isn't all that great. And in this version, it wasn't for editing, it's just, I would say, editing for no reason. For the Pioneer ones, they completely had the one where Gohan met the robot and made friends with them. They don't have that in the Ocean dub version. They cut it out. It's not for editing purposes like censorship. It's just, well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them, because that was one of the best filler content that you can have, at least in the Dragon Ball Z arc of it. You know, they got a lot better versions of that back in Dragon Ball when they use filler a lot more wisely, I should say. In Dragon Ball Z, a lot of the filler isn't all that great. It goes from pretty good to pretty terrible, depending on where you look at it. But if you have never seen Ocean Dub in the Pioneer, I would recommend to try to find a way to see them if you can, because it still is really good in a different way to watch the episodes and everything like that, because it's so different, especially because a lot of the stuff that they say in there is completely different. Like the scripts were rewritten. Obviously, they were rewritten for the worse, but it can be just fun to have a look at them and see. And because Vegeta's voice actor was very good doing that evil, slimy villain back then, and it's like screaming and powering up. And most of the memes based off of Vegeta, and it's over 9,000, is based off of his performance. Not to mention You Can't Escape My Wrath from the Namek Saga is based off of him, because he has such outstanding performances. Now, I would agree with people. Going forward, I don't know how well he would go, because his voice for Vegeta is so fitting for a villainous side, and not so much for the good guy side. So, obviously, the Funimation one works a lot better for that. Overall, I would say the Pioneer is something that, or if you grew up with it, you're going to really appreciate it. But if you grew up with like the regular Funimation dubs and stuff like that, you'll probably just chuckle at it, because it's heavily edited. Some of the voices are really bad. Frieza, for instance. And across the board, there's just issues with the quality of the actual episodes, because they're mostly cut from the VHSs. They weren't all that great. If you want to hear more of this or any other topics, just let me know. Just starting out with talking about Dragon Ball Z, and stuff like that at the time. I'm a big fan of it, but I am also not an expert. I am not trying to pretend to be one of the most knowledgeable Dragon Ball people out there. I have not read the manga. I probably need to. I haven't watched the Japanese version either. I would need to find out how to do that. I've seen it subbed, but I don't know if that's like the English subbed version of it, where it doesn't say it correctly, or if it's the actual legit stuff. The only one that I know that's right was that BoJack movie, because it was straight from Japan. And the only other ones I've seen that were like that were from like a video game store back in the day that had sets of them, and I don't know how legit those were, or if they were just knockoffs, which they probably were. But in conclusion, if you like this, send me a like. If you disliked it, put a dislike. If there's anything that you can say that I can do better, comment. Without comments, I have no idea if I'm doing good or bad. I'm just starting out, just trying to learn ways to get better. You won't hurt my feelings. And if you want to see more content, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back with you later. Thank you, guys.